So good afternoon, all. And I introduced myself. I'm Willie McMullen. I'm the headmaster and a Taft graduate. And I am really proud to see all of you here today. And I will start by introducing School Chaplain Bob Gannon, who will offer us a prayer of welcome. And then I'll make some remarks and like to introduce some folks to you. So if we could start with Bob.
If we could unite our hearts and minds together in a moment of prayer, let us pray. God of love and compassion, giver of wisdom and knowledge, we're grateful for this new year at Taft School. We look to you for guidance in our lives. We pray that these incoming students from all corners of the one interconnected, interdependent world that we share may grow this year in mind, body, and spirit into bright, capable, and strong young adults prepared to meet today's challenge with courageous hearts and creative minds that propel us all toward a more promising future. We pray for all of our students in our Taft community, both these new arrivals and those who are returning, all of whom inspire us with their vibrant curiosity, hopeful vision, and their inherent goodness. Help all of our students to take time each day to pause, to listen for the voice of truth that you have placed in each of their hearts. We pray for the faculty. We thank you for their dedication, experience, and insight. Sustain all of them with an enthusiastic spirit overflowing with creative insight, patience, peace, and joy. And bless all the parents gathered here, the families, the staff, everyone connected to and serving the Taft community, a community we all love and support in every way that we can. We ask this in the name of the God of many names and all the people. Amen.
So I really appreciate you all being here, not just at Taft, but indeed in this room. We normally do this convocation or this welcome in the quad, but the weather did not look good and we didn't want to chance it, so I'm delighted to have you all here. And I might actually say that one of the things that's unique about Taft is there are places on this campus that have particular power, that have a kind of ritualistic quality, and this is one of the most important spaces we have. And your sons and daughters will gather in this room 4 days a week. This is where community gets fashioned in assemblies and school meetings. And so indeed it does today and for all of you, and I welcome you all. Many, many thanks to all those who helped, to actually all those teachers and old boys and old girls and school moms and teams that helped move in. Applause for those guys. They were fantastic. Look, I fully recognize the day has got all kinds of anxieties and so on when you come in, and it helps when there's someone there to help you move in or what have you. So thank you for that. And, to all the new students, and I've met so many of you today, I greet you, and I love this day because our school is made different the moment you took your first step here. And it may have been a tentative step even, nervous, but you have changed the school the minute you came here. And so if you have any doubts, don't have them, because you're already making us a different place, and it's a blessing, and for that I'm grateful. And let me begin with a story, and it's a story that's been told before, and it's a beginning story, if you will. And like all Genesis stories, it has a kind of power. It has, I think indeed, it even has myth to it. It has lessons. It has learning and meaning for us. And it's this story. In 1890, so long ago, in 1890, Horace Taft was a Yale graduate. He had a law degree, and he was, frankly, a failed lawyer. He had tried private practice. He didn't like it, and he decided to open a school. And he had nothing other than ambition and a dream, but he was lucky that there was a family friend, a woman named Mrs. Grace Black, who owned a house in Pelham Manor, New York, and she encouraged him, and she actually offered him a house. And we have a portrait of her. And I think it's often forgotten that if it were not for the faith that she had in this young teacher with no experience who had the audacious idea of beginning a school, we would not be here today had she not made that act. And with carpenters and painters still working on renovations of the house that September day, he sat down for dinner. There were 14 of them sitting around a single table. He would teach Latin and math. There were only 2 other teachers to round out the rest of the curriculum. That was, in essence, our first sit-down dinner. And that's a tradition that we still have. And the reason I share that story is that everything in the school today is there and in that scene. The head, 2 teachers, 14 students around a table. Everything we want to be. A passionate and caring faculty, bright and eager students, small communal campus, a challenging and stimulating curriculum. It feels to me like Taft in the miniature. And it's this artifact that we hold on to, and I think that I marvel at. Now, to be clear, we're a very different school. In some ways, Horace Taft would not recognize this place. But in the most important ways, I think we've never lost what we were that night. We have a clear mission, and it began those many years ago, and it is still ours today. And that mission you will hear repeated over and over again. It is to educate the whole student. So parents, you should understand that everything we do here is all flowing backwards from the idea that it's an education that is at once intellectual and moral and spiritual and physical and artistic. Everything comes back to mission. Now, his memoirs, and I've read his memoirs and letters, they're beautiful, but they don't speak to what he shared that night. I wish I knew what he said at that table. I imagine he was just as nervous as his students. And by the way, those students, I suspect they're feeling exactly what many of you are. That combination of excitement and nervousness, anticipation. Some of you are absolutely ready to start. I heard one, I won't say who, say, Mr. Mack, I'm actually ready for my parents to leave. I will not say who that was. But in truth, you will be nervous, and this is a massive transition for all of you. And so that's to be expected. But I am guessing that if he heard the advice I give, the suggestions I have, I think he would nod his head in agreement, even from that table and that campus that looked so different. Let me tell you what I mean by that. And here again, I'm addressing students. Here's a few things I'd suggest. This is really important and maybe the best place to start. We ask that you treat every member on this campus, staff, faculty, students, families, with respect. We discuss and we disagree and debate plenty. This is a school of strong minds and strong egos, but it is one where we insist that we treat each other kindly and respectfully. We want a community that's centered around those fundamental qualities of inclusion and kindness and warmth. And for that to happen, we need you, right? That cannot happen without you doing it. Be nice, right? Second thing is this. I ask that, and we all ask, that you treat this lovely historic campus with respect, that you treasure it, that you take care of it for future members, that you take pride in this your home. And it's little things. When you get up from the dining room table in the dining hall, leave the table perfectly clean. Don't expect someone else to clean it up for you. You accidentally spill something in a common room. That happens. Find someone to help you clean it up. Treat this campus, this beautiful campus, with love. We ask that you respect the rules, big and small, and that you follow them, and indeed that you understand this, and this is something your parents have probably talked to you about in different ways, that with the privilege of coming into a place like this comes the agreement that you will abide by the social contract, right? It wouldn't work if we didn't have rules. This community wouldn't work if you didn't follow them. I don't say that you will love every rule, but we need you to follow them. And that's part of the social contract that comes with this privilege. When you came to Taft and you decided today, in a sense, you've actually signed a contract invisibly. We ask and hope that you're going to have the courage to try things that you see that mean you may fall short, that you can see that when you do and you fall down, perhaps, there will be people to help pick you up, and you'll get back up on your feet. I often think that a Taft education is a little bit like that circus high wire act, and the faculty are going to encourage you to get up to that wire, and you'll be higher than you've ever been. The balance may be precarious, and if you fall, we're going to catch you, and then we're going to say, get back up there. And I guess I'd finally say, I hope that you see the opportunity in the incredibly rich diversity of this community, that you are as curious about others as indeed I think you want them to be of you, and that you embrace our differences, the incredible differences of this campus, as evidence of strength, and that you don't miss the opportunity to get people to know different than you. I mean, I want to almost grab every one of you new here and say, you are so lucky to be here. Get to know someone who's so different than you. Now, I will say, giving advice for parents is harder, and I say that as a parent, as someone who had two sons go through here. I've dropped them off at college. Pam and I know what this day is like. It is a proud day, for sure. But I know as well that it's very complicated, that your emotions are mixed, intense, even turbulent, and we do not take lightly the trust you've placed in us, the trust you've placed in us as acting in loco parentis. I'm grateful for that trust, and I'm sure Horace Taft felt the same when he started that school. I guess I'd encourage you to have faith in your son or daughter and in the strength and courage that you have seen so many times before. I'm sure you have. They wouldn't be here if you had not seen that. They are ready to be let go in no small part because you've prepared them for this moment. You knew this day would come. You're prepared for it. I want you to recognize that you chose Taft in part because of the assumption that it would be challenging and even stressful, perhaps more so than the previous school. And that means that your son or daughter will, if Taft is doing his job, they will have setback. They'll have disappointment. You and I know that this is how we grow. It's hard to witness, but we do best when we witness it and not try to solve it. I think of an author and psychologist, a woman named Lisa Damour, who writes, I really like this phrase, she says, somewhere along the line, we got the idea that emotional discomfort is always a bad thing. That turns out to be a very unhelpful idea. Pushing ourselves past familiar limits builds capacities. And so, as parents, even though it's so hard, and Pam and I've lived through this, it's so hard to see one of our kids struggle. But if you can accept that they're going to be uncomfortable at times, know that we're going to help them, and in that process is how they're going to gain the skills and the resilience and confidence to handle those moments. So be patient and observant and supportive. Your children have many days ahead of them. They've just begun. They need time and space to figure things out, to make mistakes, to try new things, and to adjust. Most of all, though, I hope this. I hope you visit often. I hope you're here. My welcome is as much to you as parents as it is to students. You are now joined a Taft family, which includes parents and alumni and teachers, and you are now a part of it, and you will never leave it. Now, who are some of the faculty that will be helpful? And I say this is addressed to both of you as parents and as students. I want to try to suggest the ways in which there are faculty here who will help, not just in the opening days, but indeed at all times. And I would say that in the early days, there are two roles that are going to be critical, the advisor and the class dean. Now, by now, students, you new students recognize you have been given a temporary advisor. We strongly believe that students should get to choose their own advisor. But if you're new, you've been assigned someone who is immediately going to become an ally, a friend, and someone who's going to help you. In about 3 weeks, you can have an opportunity, and you can either stay with that advisor or choose someone else. Perhaps you've met a teacher or a coach or someone in the dorm that you really would like to be your advisor. And those relationships can be absolutely critical. There are many Taft faculty who stay in touch with advisees long after they graduate. And the other critical person is the class dean. And I hope that most of you have had a chance to meet your class dean. Class dean is charged by Taft to oversee the whole of your child's life. Right? They fly at 40,000 feet. As Jack Henderson, one of our deans, says, their job is to connect the dots, to see the whole picture, academics, social, extracurricular, and so on. And so I would argue that it might be the class dean that you would turn to first if you have a question, and it could be for any host of reasons. That's probably going to be your first call. The dean will get back to you promptly. Now, to be clear, you're not going to hear from the dean every day or every week because the vast majority of Taft students are getting through the trials and triumphs of Taft perfectly well. That's why you're trusting this school. But if there's something serious that's happened at home, something that's changed, if you have a worry that's significant, call the class dean. That would be the first person, okay? So those two, class dean and advisor, really are what I would call the two of the closest orbiting members of a constellation of adults who are going to be orbiting around your son or daughter to ensure that they're successful. So let me introduce those folks to you so that there's a name and a face, and afterwards, if you want to reach out, if you haven't had a chance to meet them, you'll certainly get a chance to. So the deans of the lower mid-class are Kevin Danaher and Amanda Benedict, if they could stand, okay? All right. We don't need to applaud them, okay? I know they like it. The deans of the middle class are Bob Campbell and Jillian Danaher. The deans of the upper mid-class are Ozzie Parente and Colin Farrar. Colin, who is serving for Lisa Parente, who's on maternity leave. And the deans of the senior class are Susan McCabe and Jack Kennerson. Yes, we can applaud the group of deans all together. Okay? So parents, if you have a concern, significant question, that's probably the first call, okay? Jeremy LaCase is the assistant headmaster. If Jeremy will stand. Jeremy oversees all kinds of things at Taft. He's got decades of experience in school leadership. He oversees the school calendar. He has a lot to do with running critical ad hoc committees, aids me in the day-to-day running of the school. Questions in particular about calendar, don't call me, call him. Jen Kennerson is the academic dean. Jen? Jen oversees the entire academic curriculum of the school. My guess is many of you have emailed or actually spoken with her. I would make one comment or suggestion if I could. I think we do a really good job of placing students in the courses they should be in. There may be some movement at times, but please give us time to get it right. It's possible your son or daughter may call the first day and say, I'm in this physics class, there's no way, I'm totally over my head. Take a deep breath. Let him or her spend a few days in the class. They will talk with the teacher, and then we make the change. No curriculum is etched in stone, but I'll tell you, most of the classes are going to be the correct classes, so just be patient. I'd like to introduce Edie Traina, who's actually in the back, and Edie is our Dean of Faculty, and she oversees professional development, the faculty culture, all aspects of professional growth. And so if you have questions about the faculty or anything regarding their lives, please direct those to Edie. Mark Traina, where's Mark? Mark Stan? Mark is the Dean of Students, and along with Associate Dean Lindsay Leal, he oversees the Dean's Office. Yes, part of the Dean's Office is to oversee the structure of rules. I think Dean's offices, sometimes you hear comments like, well, I hope you never have to meet the Dean. I think the exact opposite. I want you meeting the Dean. Mark and Lindsay believe that theirs is really an office on student culture, and their job is to help make the school work, to help make a healthy community. They also manage the weekend permission, so if you have questions, they would go there. But I really hope that you meet those two. And in particular, if you haven't met Mark, I hope you get a chance to before you leave today or shortly afterwards. Dr. Rachel Jacobs is Director of Counseling. Where's Rachel? She works with two other counselors, and we have, I think, a fantastic counseling office. We see that as a critical resource. There are so many people here to try to help your sons and daughters be successful, and we think having a really gifted, passionate counseling office is just one more avenue for help. Bob Gannon, where's Bob? Who you met briefly. Bob is the school chaplain and oversees really all matters of spiritual life and worship. This is a campus of the richest ways in which we all seek meaning. So if you have any questions about worship, about services, please direct those to Bob. Dr. Diane Fountas, where's Diane? Diane is our school doctor. She was in private practice in Connecticut for almost 3 decades. Is an incredibly well-known and respected pediatrician, came to Taft a number of years ago. The health center is on the basement of Congdon Dormitory, and Diane has a passion for student health, I think, that is unmatched. And if you have any questions, whether it's about records or a particular condition that you need help and support on, please see Diane. And then Andrew Prince, where's Andrew? Dean of Global and Multicultural Education. He leads our efforts in all manners of multicultural education, diversity, and inclusivity. And I would say this group behind me, I did the math, there's about 200 years of teaching experience behind me. This is a really, really good group of men and women. So I just want to thank them. Okay? Did I get everybody? Okay. Now, I'm going to turn it over to 2 other speakers in 1 second. Parents, I know how hard letting go is. This is a wondrous journey that's about to begin, and it is in equal parts probably scary and mysterious and exciting and inspiring and magical. I am honored that you've made this choice, that you've chosen this place. So in a few minutes, I use this phrase, I know it's not delicate, in a few minutes you're going to be kicked off campus. And we do that so we can get to work. And we'll have orientation, we'll have meals and meetings. You have to let your children and this faculty get to work. You are never going to forget this day, never. As parents, I think we sometimes do things we know is right. We know that are right, and they're still painful and hard. And so even when you get in that car and you might cry and you worry, have faith. Have faith in your children and the remarkable qualities that brought them here, and also in the school that is going to challenge and nurture them. So welcome. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really look forward to getting to know you. And I close by introducing two really important people. If the head mons could come up, Maggie and Dickie, would you all come up to camp up here? These are 2 incredibly principled and caring and smart, dedicated leaders, and they work with a remarkable group of students who serve the school. So if we would please welcome them, and I think Dickie's going to offer comments first, and then Maggie. So, head mons of the school. Yep.
Good afternoon, all. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Taft. your home for the next few years, and a place you will truly come to love. My name's Dickie Ismerlian, and I'm a senior from the Bahamas. Alongside Maggie, I'll be serving as co-head monitor this year. As I sat down to write this speech, I looked back on all my experiences here at Taft and sought valuable lessons to share with you. The more I reflected, the more I realized that my time here on campus has been so heavily influenced by those around me. Were it not for the support of the Taft community and the lessons I've learned from its various members, I can honestly say I would not be the man I am today. With this in mind, I thought I'd share with you the 3 pieces of advice I was given during my time at Taft that I think will be most beneficial to you. Number 1, try something new. Just 3 short years ago, I sat in those same seats and listened to Headmaster McMullen make his opening address. One of his main points was encouraging students to step outside their comfort zones and try something new here at Taft. With this in mind, I enrolled in 2 language classes my freshman year, which was a challenge because I wasn't taking the same classes as most of my peers. In the long run, this was a great decision, and definitely worth it, as I truly enjoyed both classes. Taft's environment makes it so easy to try something new due to the vast amount of opportunities you have at your disposal here on campus. This is a very low-stakes environment in which failures are merely opportunities for growth. And there are so many adults here who want to nurture you when you are down and support you when you are up. We live in an extremely supportive environment. Everyone here has made mistakes, but only by trying and by failing often can you discover new talents and new passions. A very good example of this is my friend Ian Staines. Ian came to Taft as a lower mid, a soccer player. He made JV his freshman year, and he was off to a hot start by all accounts. That season, after one of our team runs, Coach Hinker recommended to him that he try track in the spring. Well, I think it's safe to say that Ian hasn't looked back. He's a natural, and he now captains both the track and cross-country team, despite never having played the sport until junior year. Ian's story is far more the norm here at Taft than an exception. Everywhere you look, you'll see examples of students stepping outside of their comfort zones, trying something new, and finding success. Number 2, be yourself. My grandfather is the wisest man I know. He doesn't talk much, but when he talks, you listen. So, the last Sunday before I came to Taft, my freshman year, at our weekly family lunch, I asked him for his advice with dealing with the next 4 years at boarding school. And his response was very simple: be yourself. And frankly, at the time, I was disappointed by that. I was expecting something more. Something more fulfilling. It just seemed too cliche. But looking back now, I understand how valuable his words were. The years you spend in high school are truly a time of personal growth. There will be days where you feel conflicted, where you wish you could be more like someone else. But if you get to know who you are and you stay true to that identity, you will go a long way here at Taft. Be confident. Each of you are here for a reason. It's no coincidence that you're sitting here in this room today, and you're all valuable members of the community. Number 3, and the most important, be nice. Be nice, be nice, be nice. Watching last year's graduation, I had a tough time. Seeing members of the Taft community, the Taft family, with whom I was so close, move on was emotional. And one student who I was particularly dreading saying goodbye to was a boy called Marvin Sabanda. Marvin was a 3-year senior from Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe, and one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I had the pleasure of playing soccer with him for 2 years, and we developed a deep bond. As I hugged him goodbye that day, he whispered to me, "All you owe people in life is kindness. All you owe people is kindness. Those words have stuck with me all summer. All you owe people is kindness. Taft's culture is defined by kindness. Our motto is not to be served, but to serve. Or in other words, put the needs of others above your own. Everyone says hi to each other in the hallways. Teachers invite you to their apartments for extra help. They give you their phone numbers. In a world filled with negativity, pessimism, and bad news, we need to continue to look out for each other now more than ever. Remember earlier I said that failure was nothing to be afraid of? Well, good news, because it turns out you can't even fail too badly here, because we have a limit. You can't get worse than a 40 on any exam. I remember my first Taft 40. It was a Chinese vocab test my freshman year. When I got that score back, I thought I was done. I thought I'd failed out of Taft, and I was delirious. And I think I must have been visibly upset as I walked along Main Hall to my next class, because L.J. Foley pulled me aside to check on how I was doing. L.J. Foley, school monitor, L.J. Foley, tri-varsity athlete, L.J. Foley, one of the coolest kids on campus, L.J. Foley. The fact that he even knew my name made my week. Never mind the fact that he took the time out of his busy schedule to reassure me that everyone has gotten Taft 40s and that that's no big deal. To him, the interaction took 2 minutes and minimal effort. To me, it made my year, and I remember it to this day as an example of how your words can go a long way to change someone's life. So in a world in which you can be anything, and a campus in which you can do anything, be nice. So to recap, try something new. You might surprise yourself and find a new passion. Be yourself, because if you aren't, no one else will be, and that would be a real shame. And finally, be nice. Treat those around you kindly, and they will reciprocate the feeling, and our community will be all the better for it. If you can accomplish all three, no easy task, but if you can, the sky's the limit, and you'll succeed here no matter what. Welcome to Taft, and I look forward to meeting you all in the coming days. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maggie. Every one of you has a place here. Taft chose you because you were passionate about places where you were previously engaged, and through the application process, demonstrated that you were going to be passionate about this place. That fact, coupled with Rhino Cookies and Mr. Frew's individual shout-outs on Revisit Day, you chose Taft. There are numerous boarding schools much like this one, with picturesque views of turning leaves against red brick walls, school rivalries which run generations deep, and the inherent closeness which comes with dorm room living. But something about Taft stuck, and why is personal to everyone here. So now, the real task is to make Taft feel a little more like home. All three of my older brothers were Tafties. While here, we found, by cause of wonderfully dissimilar interests, varied experience. The oldest, a thespian and emerging playwright, the middle, a self-appointed school cheerleader, and the youngest, captain of the wrestling team. Despite these obvious distinctions, there exists one undeniable commonality. We all, through that initial heartache for home, yet eventual knowing that Taft is home, found our second families. This ability to exist in the same place and to experience differently, yet to give and receive the support which you would a family member, illustrates firstly that Taft celebrates when we see diversity of thought, opinion, and interest on our campus, because it makes life here that much richer. Never feel that because you are not an athlete or a musician or top of the class, that you don't enhance culture here. Also, and I think far more importantly, by cause of Taft's many outlets of support, which include monitors in dorms, teachers, advisors, coaches, classmates, you inevitably will find people to whom you turn to in times of need. None of this is to say that Taft is easy. It is sometimes quite difficult, but it is in those moments of uncertainty where we encounter our most honest and lasting friendships or allies. The summer before my freshman year at Taft, my parents had convinced me to sign up for Collegium, which is Taft's choral group. However, after having arrived on campus and auditioned with Mr. Pfeiffer, who, by the way, I now know and love, was completely stressed me out. This meant that because I had planned to register for the class yet had failed to audition, I was without an art, which coincidentally was the first block of freshman year. So, as everyone's waking up and getting ready for that coming of age, first history, or first math class of high school, I had nowhere to go. And I for sure felt that I was doing something wrong. So at this point, I call my brother, who was a junior at the time, and through the tears managed to explain that I am by no means intentionally cutting class, but that I have no idea where to go or what to do. And on the other side of the line, I hear him begin to laugh, which initially didn't go over very well at all. But he said the following, which has stuck with me through my Taft experience. He said, "Mags, breathe, chill, and ask people for help. People are nice here, and everybody was new at some point." And you know what? He was right. It's never about knowing how everything works the second you step on campus. High school, let alone boarding school, is a major change. Leaving home at 14 or maybe 15 is not an easy thing to do, and certainly not one that you're expected to do alone. So although it may feel uncomfortable and as if you are creating some horrible inconvenience, it is 1000% okay to ask for help, to take a breather, and to make mistakes, because odds are, even the kids who seem to have it all together are completely freaked or unsure about something. And with that in mind, Taft is a place where we say hi in the halls, where we sit with people who might be alone at lunch, a place where we extend ourselves because we all know how it feels to be new and to be unsure. So, if you somehow, despite having packed everything you own, forgot shampoo, don't know where a class is, or just miss home, know that you're not alone and that fellow Tafties are here to help. And although these next couple of days or weeks might be hard, the trade-off is so worth it, in that you will find your people here and the support necessary to make Taft your home and your second family. Thank you. So now all the school monitors who are sitting in the front row, we'd introduce yourselves and a tidbit about.
Hi, my name's Sierra Ouellette. I'm from Bethlehem, Connecticut. I'm a four-year senior, and I'm a dorm monitor in Congdon.
Hey everybody, I'm Renan. I'm from Bangkok, Thailand, and I'm a dorm monitor in HT 2.
Hi everyone, I'm Blake Gray. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm a dorm monitor in Vogue.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz Carlson. I'm from Bedford, New York. I was a new sophomore, and I'm a monitor in USGD.
Hello, I'm Mike Yaman. I'm from Middlebury, Connecticut, and I'm a dorm monitor at HDT4.
I'm Lily Cook. I'm a four-year senior from West Palm Beach, Florida, and I live in Senten.
Hi everyone, my name is Minori. I am from Tokyo, Japan, and I'm a Monomac.
Hello everyone, my name is Peter Denius. I am from Wilton, Connecticut, and I am a dorm monitor in CPT3.
Hello everybody, I am Sean Cummings. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm a dorm monitor in CPT4. And I'll also be giving the orientation times and locations for each grade. So firstly, at 3:45, the lower middlers are meeting in the choral room. If you guys don't know what that is. 3:40, it's right down this hallway. The mids are meeting at 3:45 in East Dining Hall, one of the 3 dining halls. And at 5 p.m., the upper mids are meeting in the faculty room for the orientation. Thank you.
So that is a really remarkable group of leaders, and they serve the school completely unselfishly. And I thought, Maggie and Dickie, those remarks were fantastic. You guys, that was spot on, really good. Dickie, I don't know if you knew that LJ's parents were in the audience. Did you know that? You did well. So just very quickly, I went through all of those different people to look to. I'll just repeat a couple key ones. Again, if you have a medical question, need any particular medication help or anything like that, Dr. Diane Fountas. Anything to do with permissions, rules, travel, see Mark and Lindsay. These 2 know more about the school and are so deeply invested in student life that I can't imagine there's a question you have that they won't be able to help you on. Questions about academics, again, as I said, Jen Kennerson oversees it all. Please be patient. We will do our best to make sure things are right. And if you have a question, perhaps next week, you could ask her. And then any general questions about adjustment and so on, the class dean. If you didn't have a chance to meet the class dean and you want to find them afterwards, you can. Again, Sean, did I have it right? Lower mids are in the choral room. That's in that room right on the left as you go out. Mids are in the east dining hall, and the upper mids, you said, were faculty room at 5 o'clock, right? Okay, so welcome. I know there's a long day, an emotional day. I'm delighted to see you all here. Parents, listen, have faith. Have faith in your kids. Have faith in us. We're going to tell you, time to get out of here so we can get to work. So welcome to the start of the year.